everybody, today I'm going to be showing you how to make a bucket hat. I'll be upcycling I'll be upcycling these trousers that I made, and let's just get on to the pattern pieces that you're going to need. So I've actually made this pattern digital, which means that you'll be able to buy it on my Etsy page. I'll leave the link in the description down below. So the first step for me was to just start unpicking one side of my pant legs, and then I'm just going to fold that in half and start tracing my pattern pieces onto that. Because I'm making my bucket hat from a garment that's already made, I'm not actually able to cut my pattern pieces on the fold, which means that you fold your fabric and then along the folded edge you'll place the pattern piece so that when you cut it out and open it up it's all one piece. But I'm gonna have to do mine with two side seams. So just to show you how to do that, basically I added a 1 centimeter extension, which is the seam allowance that I'm using on the hat to sew it all up. But if you're able to, just follow the pattern as it says and cut it on the fold. So I added the 1 centimeter seam allowance onto my brim and onto my stand. So I cut all of that out, and the pattern pieces that you should have are 2 top of the hat pieces, 1 in your lining, 1 in your main fabric. The next one would be the stand, and you're going to need 2 in your main fabric and 2 in your lining. And then the brim, which I decided to do all 4 of them in my main fabric, but it would be 2 of your lining and 2 of your main fabric. I'm going to explain the tutorial with the pieces how I've cut them, but it would be pretty much the same if you've cut your fabric on the fold. So what we're going to do now is we're just going to take our lining pieces and put them right sides facing, and this is of the stand by the way. And we're just going to sew a straight stitch along the sides, and you want to do the same for the main fabric. So once I sewed up my stand piece, I did exactly the same to my brim piece, and then I started to mark the notches on my stand piece. So all you're going to want to do is fold it in half. So you're going to join the 2 side seams together, lay it flat, press it, and then just mark with your chalk just down the folded edge on both sides. So essentially you'll have 4 notches. You'll have the 2 side seams and the 2 ones that we just marked, but you want to do it on the top and bottom because the stand is going to get attached to the top of the hat and to the brim. We need to attach the top of the hat to the stand. So what you're going to do is you're going to take the smaller side. It tapers basically, this piece will taper. So you want to take the smaller end of it and pin it to the notches on the top of the hat. The pattern actually has notches which you can use to mark on the circle. So I'm just matching my notches together, and then I'm going to start pinning on every interval. So what I like to do is once I pin the 2 notches, I take the center, pin that, and take every center when I'm pinning. That just allows me to get the fabric spread around evenly so that there won't be any uneven gathers and stuff like that. Once you've done that, you want to do the same to your main fabric, and we're just going to take it to the sewing machine and sew a straight stitch all along that. Take your time with this stitch because you don't want to mess it up, you know, nobody likes to unpick. You want to mark the notches on the brim of your hat as well so that it matches up with the notches on your stand. Now that we've sewn the circle to our lining and to our main fabric, we're going to want to do the same thing again but with the brim. So I'm going to put my lining of the brim with the lining of the hat, and again I'm just going to mark my notches and pin everything evenly and take it to the sewing machine. Do this again with your main fabric. By the way, I added my label in whilst I was sewing the side seams of my stand. Here I'm just trimming into the seams, so I'm just going to cut out triangles, and that will just release the tension in the hat so that everything lays flat. Once I constructed the hat piece of my lining, I actually decided to do a top stitch, and this was to make sure that everything lies flat. So I did that on the inside of my lining, and then also I decided to do it on the outside. Now that we've sewn the brim to the hat, we should have 2 hats that are constructive. One is the lining and one is the main fabric. And what you're going to want to do is put them right sides facing each other. So what I did was I kept my main fabric facing up, and then adjust 10 more linings so that the right sides was on top of it. Now that our hat pieces are facing right sides each other, we're going to want to sew all around the circumference of that. So just pin it together, marking up your notches again. We want to leave a 2 to 2.5 inch gap, and that's just so that we can get the right sides, the nice side of the fabric, back out. So here I'm just flipping the hat right sides out and I'm pushing out the edge of the circle just so that everything lays smoothly, and then I'm going to give it an iron so that everything will lay flat. With that gap now, you want to fold it in the amount of seam allowance that you chose to use. So mine was 1 centimeter. So I folded it in 1 centimeter all around that curve, pressed it, and then I'm pinning it together because we're going to do an edge stitch and this will completely seal the hat. Now that the edge of the hat is sealed, the hat is basically done, but we want those top stitching that they actually do on most of the bucket hats, so you're going to have to sew loads of rings. And to make it easier and more even, I just line up the edge of my foot with the edge of the stitch that I just created around the edge, and then I just follow that round and round and round and round until I reach all the way up to the stand, and that should be your bucket hat done. Now it's time for the final reveal.
The door.
Thank you everybody for watching my bucket hat tutorial. I hope that you enjoyed the video and that it was clear enough to understand. If it wasn't clear enough, please let me know so that I can try and make a better video. I don't know. I think I might try and do some like embellishments on them next time. I don't know. Tell me if you want that. Yeah. But that's the end of the video, so thank you for making it all the way here, and I hope that I see you next time. Bye.